When necessary, anger is one of the most powerful tools of communication. It has a very unique characteristic of transbarring information across in a way that feels super savage, yet passionate. But again, only if necessary. Today we're going to talk about the unnecessary. Video game rage, a serious epidemic. Over the years, highly respected researchers like John the Wanker reveal symptoms may include uncontrollable urge to break or hit things, yelling in general or at your television, shaking, and accelerating heart rate. Warning: a person with gamer rage might be a little touchy. Give him/her time. Wait till he/she interacts with you. Do not confront. So why does this happen? Well, nobody in my mind has broken it down more straightforward than comedian Dara O'Brien.
You cannot be bad at watching a movie. You cannot be bad at listening to an album. But you can be bad at playing a video game, and the video game will punish you and deny you access to the rest of the video game.
So it's an act of retribution against the individual for the crime of simply being inadequate to the challenge that the video game provides. And it seems like there are very few video games out there that are spared from this plague. Now, I found this to be a much more complex topic than I first suspected, so it should come as no surprise that I spent a good amount of time asking fellow gamers to provide a fascinating insight on the nitty-gritty details of what makes this behaviour tick, which I'm going to share with you right now, okay? So what exactly does video game rage look like? Primarily, it consists of voices being raised by 400%, controllers being thrown, cameras being punched, blasting harmonicas, gaming desks being slammed in sync with Sweet Caroline. That's at least how I define VJR. Letting out a quick "come on" or "fuck's sake" to me isn't all that bad. It's just a nice, quick, measured release of frustration, and then you're back to normal. Now, it's worth taking a step back and admitting video game rage at times is justifiable. If the game screws you over with a perfectly timed glitch or crash, exploitations, being killed by a cheater, that's completely understandable to me. By all means, bash your keyboard up. No one is going to say anything, except your wallet. Very quickly, from a Twitch streamer's point of view, the most unique factor to this inevitable outburst, I think, is just the length of time that these guys dedicate to playing. Now, from what I've found, a lot of these full-time streamers tend to be live for 4 to 10 hours every day, and given that many of them have a reputation for being really good, I could see that putting a little bit of pressure on them to perform. Now, I don't buy into this whole being a streamer is hard. Amongst other things, it is a very fortunate job to have. But I'll give it to you, streaming multiple hours a day at some point is going to feel like work. But enough about the 1%, let's talk about us, you and me. How you doing today? You keeping well? I like what you've done with your hair. The most obvious point to get across first is just the competitive nature that exists within us. We love to win. It never gets old. We see it as a sign of superiority. But to win a war, there's got to be some casualties along the way. Because if you have limited time to spare, and you can't be asked watching all these beginner guides to help you along, you just decide to go in fresh learning shit in the most ruthless, bloody, grimaced fashion. That can be the beginning of a gradual build-up of impatience that intensifies more and more until the ultimate climax. It can give away an impression of just unfairness. Like, why does this game take such pleasure in shaming me for losing to a guy who's got 150 more hours in this than I have? And this pent-up frustration ends up disrupting your focus, which causes you to go into this general Custer last stand mode. You've lost all the patience and now you're just going balls to the wall with zero thought process, and it just leads to even more humiliation. I can personally add some material to this because I've been there. I am way more likely to flip out if I'm playing solo. Mainly because there is no one there to confront or suffer with me. I tend to talk to myself through the experience because it just helps me feel conducted, and also I am slightly insane. You'd have to see it to believe it, but when I'm performing badly, I actually start to antagonize myself. How did you miss that? You should have waited. Did you not see that guy? So I've got all these confrontations being targeted at me, and to make matters worse, in that moment there is no second opinion that exists within my conscience to retaliate and defend my actions. So it's a closed case. I'm shit. And on the rare occasion where I play some online games with friends and one of them starts raging, I just keep it shut. Because if it's got to that stage, none of us are having a good time in there. And the fact that someone else is willing to take one for the team and just express the feelings we all have by being a little bit out of character is very reassuring to me and comforting. It's nice to know that I'm not alone.
I ought to put you in a dick!
Now, remember that really chilling quote you just heard earlier in the video? Well, this other key factor tends to occur in the aftermath. So now we're like at the stage of negotiating a peace treaty. That is the unrealistic expectations. So, after a substantial amount of time with said game, you begin to have preconceived expectations on how you expect to perform. You have raised your consistency in, say, positive KDs, lack of goals conceded, delivering more fatalities, and as a filthy casual, it's funny, it's something that you don't sacrifice to accomplish, it kind of just naturally comes about. But this mental clarity that you now have considered the new normal is eventually going to come under attack. The best example I could probably give is the Battle Royale games, which have a reputation for being the most unbalanced, rage-inducing, RNG-focused type genre of them all. But, on the other hand, when things work out, they are seen as the most pulse-pounding, intense, passionate experience. And I'd say almost all of the streamers that you watch lose touch with their innocence while playing those games. They have won a significant number of matches in their time playing. And it's an experience you want to keep on having, but especially with the nature of Battle Royale games, it's impossible to maintain that consistency. Another thing, when you watch gameplay videos on YouTube of people just dominating their opponents, sure it does incentivize you to go play some yourself. But again, I am pretty sure these gamers had to go through a few average games before capturing what they show off in their videos. I must confess myself, if you go to my Destiny 2 video, the Battlefield 1, the Halo 1, all of them had tolerable gameplay footage in the background that sure might have looked alright, but those transpired over the course of 2-3 weeks. So what I'm saying is basically this is the video game equivalent of social media.
It's all a lie! Everything you've been told! Everything you believe in!
So do I encourage you to be more open-minded about the concept of video game rage? No, not at all. Whilst it might be nice to hear a detailed rundown of something that's so intensely relatable, the type of entertainment it can provide is way too precious to give up. The world we live in today is dominated by narcissism. It's a very unhealthy obsession we have of just trying to up one another for the sake of virtual validation. Watching people break shit over a video game is a much more reassuring frame of reference for us to feel better about ourselves. So let's not change. Don't games change either.
You're all fucking dead to me, you idiots! What? This game fucking sucks!